Are you drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer? When we allow negative emotions to consume our survival energy, this is essentially what we're doing. When we feel threatened in a non-physical way, defending ourselves is actually not the most important thing to do. This week, I brought back my husband, Branislav, to walk us through changing our fuel source from survival energy into life force energy. I'm bringing you a special bonus 2-part episode where the first part is a reflection and discussion on a 4-step process that we can use when we do have those real life triggers that send us into survival energy. And part 2 is the actual guided meditation that Branislav channeled through to me to allow us to practice this process in a meditative state. Part 1 opens with the moment I had just finished being led in guided meditation by Branislav. You get to experience our reflections in real time. The afterglow and the high is so real that you might wonder if you accidentally tapped into a recording of me on some kind of mood-altering substance or perhaps right after a climactic release. And I wanted to share the good stuff with you too. So after this episode, find 17 minutes of quiet where you can enjoy part 2 of this episode, which is the exact meditation that Branislav led me through right before this. So take a deep breath in, let it out, and enjoy that post-meditation high with me. Welcome to Star Potential, a podcast where we explore the meaning of our existence while having a few laughs and sometimes tears through stories from the road of life. I'm your host, Julie Jo Hughes. As a stage performer, my life is quite literally about song and dance. I believe that life here on Earth is a playground for discovery, not a contest to be won. We ask questions together like, how do I evolve my consciousness? And how do you sing a passionate ballad when there's an old guy in the front row with his balls showing? True story. Stick around for these fun conversations.
How are you feeling, sugar?
Amazing.
You want to tell us a little bit more? What is that amazing feel, if you can put in the words?
It feels expansive. I actually feel like I'm radiating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's like I am the generator of the positive, like the warm pulse that's going out and around me.
Yes. Yes, because that's actually what you really are. You see, in the moments like this, when we go through this experience, then you really have understanding who you really are. When I say you, I mean about us, all of us, who we really are. First and foremost, we are energetic beings. So what you just experienced now is your energy being consciously activated and brought to the level of frequency in which you are merging with this moment and merging with the Creator. The Creator is the one who creates everything with higher frequency, which is love. Everything comes out of love. So this is what you're experiencing right now. You are experiencing oneness. We can say that in this environment, in this circumstance, there was no challenge for you. So it was easy for you to merge within this frequency, that it's actually your natural state. But the question is, can we actually practice this even in the moments when we are truly challenged?
Mm-hmm. It was interesting right in the beginning when you said now you can begin to feel your energy. And part of it was the signal that you brought my attention to the fact that I can now start to feel my energy. But in that moment I had a realization, oh, you're right. I couldn't tune into my energy before because I was caught up in all the mental chatter, which is where I probably spend about 97% of my time. And when you said, now you can begin to feel your energy, it was like, oh, wow, look how much I actually had that feeling in that moment. Look how much I'm missing out on most of the time because I'm not tuned in to my own energy. I'm just riding the waves of the mental chatter, which is just a story about whatever's happening. It's not actually what's happening. It's not like the reality. It's my filtered virtual reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Based on my own insecurities, fears, clouded thoughts, whatever I might be carrying with me throughout the day, task list, being awareness of the time, whatever is going on. Oh, we got to do this. But that's taking up so much of my focus that I'm actually not tuned in to the actual energy that is coming from me during those times.
That's right. And what you said here, you had a challenge, even though you were guided by me in this circumstance, but you still had a little bit of challenge, but you managed to overcome that. Only because you have experience of this, doing on your own, by yourself, many times, also working with me. But in the moments when you're not guided by me, then sometimes there is even bigger challenge to overcome that. But this is what we want to actually talk about today, and the purpose of this introduction as meditation to show our listeners how they can become aware and turn whatever energy they become aware of into this positive, high vibration type of energy they can do on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So
I also want to point out one more just physical thing that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we were getting ready to set up, we were working out some technical things, and I didn't realize that I was carrying some kind of anxious energy with me. We're thinking about when the kids are coming home, we have limited amount of time to do this. I'm trying to get it set up. But even in my present awareness, getting ready to do this with you, I didn't realize that I was carrying any level of anxiety. I thought I'm just task oriented. But as we began the meditation and I began to tune inward, the longer I focused on the top of my lip, and then I could actually feel my breathing getting easier and deeper and more expanded, which then showed me, oh, I was holding tension here and here and here, and that I actually wasn't even aware that I was holding until I let it go. You know how sometimes you don't realize something is there until it's not anymore, and then you feel the difference and you go, oh,
yes.
That's how I could be feeling.
Yes. So what you saying is that in order to get there, to experience that tension, and that tension was so subtle, the way you're describing right now, it was so subtle. We needed to narrow down your focus to that specific point. In this case, I took his example as the top lip, but it can be any other different part.
Sure.
But this is the body part where we can truly sense the coolness and the warmth of the air. And as I'm narrowing down even more, and then I'm telling you to quiet down your mind, and the quiet down your breathing, and the quiet down the volume of the air in and out, and I'm literally telling your mind, don't think about anything else, just simply solely follow my instructions. And the way to do this, you don't need any intellect for that. We can leave the intellect on the side, and just your focused attention, which is already built in with you. You don't have to practice any focused attention, By doing that for few seconds or few minutes, what we're creating is the space now that comes from lack of the chatter in your mind. So now that we created that space, Now your awareness can broaden. As your awareness is broadening now that awareness can pick up many other details within you. Mm-hmm. And one of those details was tightness in your shoulders or neck that you were just experiencing. Okay, yeah, mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So now, what I want to talk about is that, is it possible to do this on our own? And again, what good this can bring us, yeah? Of course it is possible, but everything has to be practiced. We have to know that mind is like a physical muscle. And if it's not practiced, it can also atrophy. But mind can be conditioned and practiced the same as a physical muscle with repetitions and with exercises. And this can be one of them. Mindful exercise where you truly believing that you are the energy first, and then after that you are the physical body. Not that you are the physical body, you are the awareness of the physical body, and you have the body.
Mm. And we have that connection to the body.
Absolutely, mm-hmm. through that awareness.
So we do feel it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So now, when it comes to mind, it's hard for mind to grasp the reality that you are the energy first and foremost, which is the most important. So as you can see now, this energy that you activated within you in the conscious way, you notice then whether this energy is energy of living or energy of survival. Mm. In a very subtle way, you had some tension in your body, but that was very subtle. But even that tiny tension, we can still classify as energy of survival, because some percentage of that energy that is within you was trapped within the tension in that area. Mm. So let's say in some broad sense, we talk about your energy as 100%. In this case, you can say, well, maybe I had 98% or 99% available of that energy, mm-hmm. but that 1 or 2% or 0.1, doesn't matter, mm-hmm. it was still in that trapped area. Okay, that means if I want to use energy for whatever is ahead of me, which means the present moment, so I want to respond to the present moment, mm-hmm. to the demands of the present moment in the most quality, focused, productive, ecological way, then I don't have entire energy available to mm-hmm. do that. Mm-hmm. As I said, in this case that you experienced, it was very mild, like maybe 1% if we can say that tightness. So now let's talk about something where we have more of that energy completely gone and it's directed into survival in some examples. So for example, you get a text message, something is saying something to you, you open an email or you watch something on the TV that it's not according to your political or economic or world view, mm-hmm. yeah, and immediately, or somebody cuts you off on a highway or whatever, mm-hmm. and immediately you're experiencing arousal and change within your physiology. And you're experiencing to that level now that we can classify that as a stress. Mm-hmm. But if we go really far, then we come to the point, to the other end, that we can call a panic attack. Ooh, at that point, it's possible also to reverse that with a conscious breathing. But if somebody who is experiencing panic attack and now it is being presented this method for the first time, there's no way they're going to see or notice anything. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we're doing here, and talking to all of our listeners who are listening, and we're hoping that they're not having a panic attack in this moment. Mm-hmm. But what this talk is going to help them down the road is to acquire knowledge and to practice this exercise that we just did, and they can notice over time, over weeks and months, how certain conditions that are triggering their own state of being, which is lowering that energy, they can actually consciously completely reverse. So now, one of the things that I have to say first is to convince you that the energy that it's within you, it is the most important part of you first. So just to be understood, that energy, it is the life-giving energy. It is what beats your heart, what keeps you alive. But even that's not who you are. That is part of you, as also your physical body as is part of you, but you are the awareness of that energy.
So that life force energy is, in a way, would you say, our fuel for our energetic body?
Absolutely.
And so we are the awareness of that. But if our tank is empty, it's much harder to go through our daily life and just our presence with full capacity, right? Because we're not at full capacity if all of our energy stores are depleted.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is we can say we have two types of energy. One is energy of living, which is energy of giving. Another one is energy of survival. When we are in energy of survival, entire attention is directed to the false self, which is egoic consciousness, for the purpose of survival.
I'm seeing the examples in my mind because I'm a very visual person. So when we're in survival energy, it is like, if you think of survival, like you're drowning, right? You're going down in the water. You're grabbing at anything you can so you can keep and take, so that you can stay alive.
Right.
Versus when we're in life force energy.
That's right.
Energy of living. That is a radiant, that is a giving and receiving type of energy. Or we can think of two separate ends of the battery, the positive and the negative. They both have their place, right? But if we're only on the negative side of the battery, that's not going to last very long.
Absolutely. Yes. As you can see, what you're just describing, those are two polarities, and everything in universe tends to be in equilibrium. So something has to hold those two polarities in the middle. So we want to stay within the homeostasis, like body wants to stay within the homeostasis. There are certain numbers in our physiology the body likes to remain within. Soon as those numbers are either too high or too low, then we're getting some signals through certain bodily reactions that we are out of that homeostasis. And if we remain in that, which is outside of homeostasis, for a longer period of time, then we can start experiencing some repercussions. Our health will not be the best anymore. Now we might be on medications, and our relationship with others might worsen, and who knows what else.
And then it comes back to the awareness of that.
Absolutely.
Again, because if you are completely unaware that the signals that your body is giving you, that other people are giving you, if you're completely unaware of all that, then you don't have the awareness to make a choice to change anything, right?
That's right. Then you just react the way your conditioned mind always learn how to react on specific stimulus, which is that condition that it's outside of you. In this case, you can see how we cannot call choice. It's a simple reaction then. Choice can only be classified from the conscious part of ourselves. Then we can call it a choice. So now, to convince you why this is the most important, that you are the energy first, I have to give you this example, which is, if you as a physical body remain out of homeostasis for a longer period of time, that will cause change within your physiology, which will now worsen your immune system, and over time you can attract all kinds of physical and then down the road psychological illnesses. So let's say now we have months and years living in that state. Well, that can cause all kinds of even terminal illnesses, yeah?
Yes,
But it can
chronic.
cause even a state of being in so much of a stress that not only that over time we can even have a terminal illness or a heart attack or a stroke, which now we actually going to end up not listening to this, what I'm saying, so you're not alive anymore. So now we come to the point of one simple recognition. If you are not alive, then none of this that I'm speaking to you will be important. So now your existence simply has to be
Human
existence, yes, has to be good enough reason to believe that you are the energy first. And as I just explained, if your energy is not vibrating with a positive vibration, high vibration, and it's constantly in a stress mode, it will cause you death eventually.
Yes.
So if that's not enough convincing to you, then I don't know what else I can say.
It is shortening the life, is what we're
Absolutely.
saying. Yeah. The longer time you're spending in that negative, draining state, we are, each moment we're there, it is shortening our life.
Absolutely. So now the mind always wants to understand in its own way. But that's difficult because what we're talking about here, it cannot be understood on intellectual level through the mind. It has to be experienced. And you see now you went through this meditation exercise and you have direct experience now, which is sometimes even hard to put in words.
Yes.
When I asked you in the beginning, what is that you just felt within you during that meditation, yeah? And then you started explaining the way you experienced the energy and the radiation of that energy.
But you're right. It took a moment to go, how do I describe this with words?
Absolutely. So what I'm trying to say is this. It is so simple, but it's not easy. Because of the simplicity, mind cannot grasp the reality in experiential way, but he's trying to grasp the reality in intellectual way, which is not the same. Intellectual understanding is not a true experiential understanding. Those two things are completely different. You see, mind is so strong to immediately start thinking about what I'm saying and how through thinking make itself better, which that's what we would always do. And let me give you an example. You get a text message, yeah? And somebody upsets you immediately. What is that the first thing mind does? Mind immediately starts creating another condition. And what is that? A different thought. A different thought. How now you should respond to that text message. Even if it's loving thought, even if it's kind thought, it's still different condition. So now mind, but usually it's not. I'm talking about, okay, there is a stress already within us. The stress didn't came from the text message. The stress came from our own conditioned mind putting a story on the text message. Now that is creating the stress. And mind, it's very quick immediately to give its own response in its head by creating another story. And it usually is unkind story. It's self-defense, prideful, arrogant type of a story.
It is a defense.
It's a defense. It's our fight. And then when mind does that, in some very deceiving way, we do feel better.
Yes.
But here where the feeling of better, it's actually coming from. Because mind, was conditioned to always and always in the past give the same response, the same unkind, defending new thought, yes, on the text message or any other catalyst or condition that is coming at you,
Sure.
yeah? Because mind, it's so quick to do the same thing as it's always doing. What that does, it is creating immediately stimulus within your central nervous system. Central nervous system now is producing specific hormones within you. When those hormones surges through your body, and your body is now experiencing tightness in the throat, tightness in the chest, pressure in the head, which we classified as sensation of the stress, then your mind, your body gets confirmation, this is familiar, this is who I am. Oh, so now you have confirmation that this actually is what you're supposed to be doing, producing this thought. Do you see how that goes?
Yes.
So now imagine that immediately in that moment, in some miraculous way, that person had lobotomy, and there is a different thought and different mind inserted in that body, and the thought and the mind is loving and kind. And now there is immediately loving and kind thought generated from the same condition that used to upset that body. So now that love and kindness will produce different kind of chemicals. Then body would say, this is not me. This is not familiar. This is weird. Who is this? I feel lost. You would never get signal of, oh, this is actually me. This is all happening on unconscious level. We're not even aware of this. You see that? So because we're quick to solve the problem in our own way, then we get confirmation that this is how I can treat myself. But at some point, when the stress and the suffering accumulates, and the individual comes to the point of realization that certain changes needs to be made inward on the personal level. And that's where the spiritual journey begins. You see where I went all the way to the beginning to compare how would be unconscious respond and who we were in the past. And now there is some turning point in our lives when we start saying, wait a second, I've been doing this for a long time and it's not helping me. The amount of the suffering and the stress that I'm experiencing by also trying to change and argue with the conditions that are outside of me. Oh, I changed this job and I have this new job, but it's still after a year of doing new job, it's not helping me. I moved out of this neighborhood or out of this country or this state to the different one, but I'm still not experiencing happiness. I changed this wife or this husband. Oh my goodness. Million things I already changed, but it's still not happening. So at some point in our lives, we come to realization that certain things have to be made within us. Now.
Which is how we can be so thankful for
That's
the
right.
life circumstances that come to us, because if it wasn't for this experience of living and all of these catalysts that
Absolutely.
cause us suffering along the way, we might go on in that fog and have no idea. And many people do.
Yes, absolutely. We all have a different thermostat
Yes.
within us.
Yes,
And that thermostat will actually dictate whether and when we are going to make the change. It's like an analogy of you put a frog in a lukewarm water.
Yes.
Well, if that water is not heating up pretty high, then frog doesn't have any needs to jump out of the glass and out
I
of the
think
water.
you're talking about placing frogs in boiling water, but
Yes.
it starts out at a lower temperature
Exactly.
and they're slowly warming up the water.
That's right.
And as the frog gets slowly acclimated to the water, he's slowly boiling to death because he doesn't even feel that.
Yes, but some frog would jump out of the
Some
water.
frog says,
Would
whoa,
jump.
something's going on
Something's
here.
going on, and I'm ready to improve.
Yes, I'm ready to get out of this
Yes.
water.
That's right. Okay, so now we come to the point of understanding that truly my own physical body is more important than the story that I tell myself. You see, now we go back to that analogy that I was trying to convince you that if you're dead, then you're not listening to any of this. So your existence, your physical existence, is the most important. And if that's not true, convincing still to you, then I really don't know what else it is.
Sure.
So you see, sorry, you can go.
Oh, I think what I hear you saying here too is that as we are less and less identified with we are this body and this persona and this thing that needs defending. I need to be understood by you because the fact that you're triggering me, that must be a problem with you. You don't understand me, right? And as long as I continue to feel the need to defend that, I'm keeping myself smaller and smaller, more disconnected from actually the larger source, which connects us all, and we are unified consciousness.
Beautifully explained.
The more that I can be the energy itself and not the story of it or this individual who needs defending, but the more that I can feel the energy and feel, woo, this is causing some physiological sensation within me, I'm actually closer to the source of the life force energy. And by having that, my source, as you were saying before, is love, compassion. I'm not even feeling the need to defend myself anymore. The fact of whether I'm right and you're wrong or vice versa actually becomes kind of irrelevant because that's not what this is about.
Absolutely. So what you're saying is we come to the point of truly identifying ourselves first as energetic bodies, as our frequency.
Yes.
And if we start waking up every morning with that thought first, then we will not buy into the stories of the mind anymore.
Yes.
So we are not the one who is creating the story first. You see that?
The closer we are to the source, which is love, and radiant love doesn't need to defend itself.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, we're just able to kind of let a lot of that go and tap into actually what's happening, which is the energy.
That's right. So that's why, so now when we go to the beginning and when we start explaining that it's not easy, it is simple. It is simple. You just need to focus on the breath, It's
so simple.
So simple.
That's why it's hard to grasp.
But it's not easy because there is a chatter of the mind, and mind cannot believe in this simplicity because it doesn't live on the realm of simplicity. It lives on the realm of complexity.
Yes.
Complexity means it needs to be understood everything through explaining, giving the meaning to everything, which is the story.
Definitions, meaning.
And simplicity is actually the experience, pure experience.
Which is why it gets harder to attach words to it, because the true essence and feeling is something that can't be limited by words.
That's right. So now, it's not that the mind that it's experiencing the experience. The awareness is experiencing the experience. You see that?
Yes.
And so we coach ourselves with this exercise over and over. And one day, few weeks, few months, few years later, you truly start embodying this. And every morning when you wake up, you know that you are the energy first. So now, what is the energy that you have at the moment? Do I have trapped energy? And immediately I'm not able to give this energy as 100% to whatever task is ahead of me. And how does that reflect? Well,
or whatever stimulus, right?
Or whatever stimulus.
Trigger or whatever.
So
now you don't have the energy to be compassion, patience, love, because I am at a very limited capacity already.
Absolutely. So you're short-tempered. You're not kind.
Right. You're defending. Again,
right.
You're on the defense.
That's right. So now, to go back to this 4 steps that we did actually within this meditation. Yeah.
Yes. Let's talk about
And
those.
those 4 steps are, first, number 1 step, we need to understand what we are looking for, where to look for. Okay. So if we talk about love and we look for the love, or we talk about happiness and we look for the happiness, then that's the wrong direction in our focus we want to put on. Because if we talk about love and happiness, immediately we have a concept that came from the past experiences what the love and happiness is. So now if we put our direction towards that, technically we're not putting the direction of the experience of the love and happiness, we're putting our direction to the story, which is the concept of the love or happiness, which is not the same. So now how do we truly experience then what the love and happiness is? Well, we go to the opposite. And this is what sometimes it's mind-boggling for people to understand. So now what is the opposite? Well, some kind of a stressful feeling. It can be hatred, it can be fear. That's opposite of love and happiness. So when we have a lukewarm water, then frog will not jump out of the water. In this case, that means if we don't have a catalyst, if there is nothing stimulating our physiology, then we're not even going to attempt any change. So now we come to the beginning, which is once we are experiencing change in our physiology. So you open the phone, you see a text message, and immediately something is triggered within you. Here we go. Then you say, thank you, because now I have a reason to work with something so that I can improve.
Already, it's like, wow, what a different way of looking at things.
Exactly.
Thank you, life, for giving me this opportunity to practice.
Yeah. So what do I feel? Immediately, as soon as I saw the text message, I feel something, I don't know, tightness in my chest or pressure in my head. I feel that I'm already negatively responding to this text message. So the first step is now recognizing that, and then depending on your environment, if you are if you have opportunity to close your eyes, then close your eyes. If not, you can still do this exercise even with open eyes. Even let's say you're driving, but you can still do this. Even, of course, you have to keep your eyes open, but you can still proceed with the first step, which is now with a conscious breath, exactly the way we just did in the beginning. Bring your consciousness to the breath and try immediately to narrow down your focus so closely. Find the anchor, usually the breath is the anchor, so closely where after a few seconds the chatter of the mind will cease to exist.
At least slow down.
At least
quiet
slow
down.
down. Sometimes takes 30 seconds, sometimes takes 2-3 minutes, 5 minutes. It all depends how often you practice this.
Yes.
At some point,
key.
after 3 months of practicing, it's going to happen within the 10 seconds or even less.
And just for some that might be beginners and listening, might have super busy chatter like I do, it might take several minutes the first few times you're trying this.
First few times.
Yeah.
That's right. So then, with a conscious breath, exactly what we just did, you are disconnecting from the intellect, from the chatter of your mind, from the rational mind. Now, what are we doing? We're creating a space. There is a silence and space. Now, we use our awareness to seek for the area in the body that feels tension. So now, that tension is pure physical sensation. You see, as soon as we say physical sensation, then we are as close as possible describing the reality. The most accurate way of describing the reality would be silence, pure experience. But we humans wouldn't be humans if we wouldn't have this mind. So we still have to put meaning and description to anything that we perceive so that we can navigate our lives in this three-dimensional reality. So if I say it is pure physiological sensation, then as close as possible we can describe as tightness in the throat, tightness in the chest, pressure in the head, weakness in the legs or fingers, or tingling here or there. Everybody is different.
We're literally using our five senses to tune into what is happening physiologically. Is that?
That's right.
Okay.
So then once we notice where that is, as I said, it's different for everyone, then with a conscious breathing now, we direct our attention to the heart, and we want to allow heart to open up and give us this living and loving energy. At this point, energy slowly is opening up. All throughout all this process, we should be now at the place of no chatter of the mind. As I said, yes, in the beginning of this practice, it might be difficult, but you need to have guidance, maybe guided meditations or somebody who can guide you. But then over time, you should be able to do this completely on your own. So now as the silence is there, you're opening the energy within the heart, and now you're allowing that energy to spread through your body, but specifically mentally, with your mental vision and imaginative mind, you're directing that energy in that area that held any tension. So now
This is step 3.
that's right. That's already step 3. And now, as your physiology is completely changing after a few minutes, so now you have evidence. And evidence was, oh yeah, a few minutes ago, I've noticed stressful state of myself. And that was my beginning. That was my trigger for the change. Okay? So then I knew what to do. And now a few minutes later, how do I experience my breathing? It's open, actually. It's dilated. My air passageways are dilated. The air goes in and out freely. I don't feel any tension in my shoulders. Everything is open. It's gone. So you have evidences of two different energies. And now you truly, because you have experience of that, you start believing that this is the most important. Because if you didn't do this, you can see then that now you would reside probably for next few hours, if not next few days, in that different type of energy, which is energy of survival. And we explain what that means in a long term. It can damage your health. It can completely kill you at the end. Then you wouldn't listen to this. You see, I keep repeating, but I need to connect all this so that you guys can understand what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So
and the longer you're actually in that unawareness, the chatter is just growing. You're believing your own version of that story. We've actually, I'm sure we can all relate to this. The story goes on, and you create scenarios in your mind of how you respond and how they respond to that, and then how you would respond back to that. And you're getting upset about their future response that hasn't even happened yet.
Absolutely. And if you have your friend Steven next to you, you're going to complain now, and then he's going to confirm actually your opinion, and now you have confirmation that you are doing the right thing.
Yes,
There's nothing wrong.
And we are going to seek out validation of what's going to help defend ourselves, right? It's not like we're going to seek out something that would challenge what we're believing.
Yes. Yeah. For all the Stevens, I just came up with that. It can be a David or Peter, doesn't matter.
Yes.
or
Sally.
Or Sally.
Or Mary.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so now we came to the point of the fourth step. And the fourth step is now that energy is in clearance. You feel that you have energy of giving. The fourth step is now open your eyes and give that energy as your response to demands of the present moment. Okay. So let's say if you are in the office and you're working on the computer, okay, so you're in the middle of the email that actually stressed you out, and now you're back responding in the most ecological, patient, and focused way. Now you're working like nothing happened. So now your focus, productivity is back. Instead of previous example, well, you might be now off for a few hours, and instead of finishing X amount of work within, 1 hour, you might finish in 3 hours. And not only that, you're going to be in a state of the stress all the time. Or whatever that is, whatever you are talking to somebody, then respond to demands of that present moment as a good listener, as somebody who is full-heartedly engaging within the conversation, whatever that is.
Yeah, I'm remembering, I can't remember who said this, but I know that Aaron Abke brought it up in one of our lessons in 4D University, that just another evidence here of why you want to learn this 4-step process is when we keep holding on to that anger and those negative feelings and whatever we're building up in our defenses in our mind, we want to think, I have to defend myself because this person's trying to attack me and I need to guard my good name and who I am. But actually, most of anything we're going to spit back at them or anything, it's not changing them or their energy or their vibration anyway. It's only affecting yourself. And what do you care about? You want to protect your own energy. And so rather than protecting your name or your reputation, let's think about what's absolutely primary, number one, which what you said is who we are. We are the energy. Let's protect that. So if we want to protect who we are, which is not this identity we're trying to defend, it's our energy, our essence. If we want to protect that and keep that at 100% vital or wherever capacity we are right now, the quote that I wanted to bring up is he said, when we hold on to anger and things against other people, defending ourselves, that's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. We're only harming ourselves by remaining in that negative, that lower vibration that we're hanging on to things and defending. We're actually only harming our own energy by doing that.
That's right.
And so just if that would help people, if that's one more reason of why you want to learn this, it's not to be just a happy-go-lucky, loving person and you let people walk all over you. It's actually the strongest thing you could do, which is protect your own energy field.
That's right. That's very good. Very smart what you said. And then just to wrap it up, at the end, our example and meditation we did in the beginning, we actually now used that field of positive energy and high vibration to visualize. So now you see a lot of times, if we do this and we come to the point that we have this available energy, what should we do with it? Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful now. So now there is no that questioning mind, intellectual mind that questions everything. When we say, okay, I'm going to visualize my future, like in 12 months or 5 years, whatever time frame it is, I want to see myself in any aspect of my life and I want to visualize that. So now that dream that comes out of us, it comes out of our innate nature, which is our childlike, curious energy. We were all dreamers when we were kids, yeah? So that comes out, and then the intellect is not there to question, oh, I'm not sure, how can I do this? This is ridiculous, this makes no sense. And the dream is not so that we can change our reality in the moment or in the future. So that, oh, I'm doing this because I heard the law of attraction, so if I do this, so then definitely something like this will end up in the future. No, that's not what it is. What it is we have understanding what are the boundaries of my physical mind and what are not the boundaries of my physical mind. And the boundary is that I do have this gift, which is called mind, imaginative mind, and I want to use it. And I want to use it now for this beautiful visualization. Soon as I'm done with visualization, and then I understand that beyond that point, my physical mind cannot understand how and when that's going to happen. Only the higher mind or the source can understand that. So if I know those two differences, then I'm doing this beautiful visualization only because I can and I do have fun doing this. As a matter of fact, we all do create our own reality from our thinking. Most of the time, that's unconscious thinking that is creating our reality. So yes, our thoughts are creating our reality. But we can't tell this to our ego, because if we do, then he's going to go with intention of, oh, okay, so I want to visualize my future life, because then I'm always on a lookout. When is that going to happen? When is that going to happen? So then when it's 3 months, it's not happening. So now he wants to question the whole process, and he might stop doing all of this.
And because he's always coming from a state of lack, he's saying, where is it? Where's my thing that I was promised? I thought I just had to visualize this and it would come to me. So he's pushing it further away.
Absolutely.
Which we'll talk about more in future episodes.
That's right. I think that was great today.
Yeah, I think so too. So let's just, as a quick summary here, we talked about just 4 very key steps that we want to do. Would you say in any type of catalyst or triggering situation?
That's right.
Okay, so let's recap step 1.
Step 1, notice your current vibration.
And can you define that for us?
Notice your current vibration, which means stress. Stress came, so there is a stress within me, so I'm noticing. Again, if there is no stress, then you wouldn't be noticing anything, then you're cruising.
Right, okay.
Then you're cruising.
Okay, so very simple.
No
step 1, we're noticing there's a blip in the radar.
It. And that will always happen.
Yes.
Even the most enlightened person will still have its own triggers.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Because life. Okay, step 2.
So step 2 will be, after the step 1, when you noticed that there is stress within you, yes, so you acknowledge that. So then step 2 is, look around your environment, and if there is no life threat to you, proceed with the step 3.
Okay.
That's very important also.
Okay.
Because it can be examples of, let's say somebody is abused in some way, physical way. So in that moment, you're not going to say, okay, I'm going to close my eyes now while this person is trying to kill me with a knife. I will actually run. So that's not the moment for you.
We actually need to stay in the state of survival.
That's right.
Run.
So you're not going to do any of this.
Right.
But we have to belittle so much that we truly have to bring this to our awareness.
Because our internal state doesn't know the difference between being chased with a knife or I got a text message I don't like.
That's right. In other way, we're almost making fun out of this. But what we're saying is, of course, there is no life threat to me. I oppose all of this on myself.
Right.
Here we go. So that's step 2. If there is no life threat to you, proceed with the step 3. And step 3 now becomes conscious breathing.
Okay.
With a conscious breath, we quiet the mind. We anchor ourselves to the breath. We quiet the mind. And then we detect the stiff and tight areas in our body. The next one is focusing on the heart. Heart is opening right now. With opening of the heart now, we are moving this healing and accepting energy, especially to the areas that were a little bit congested. Once now, after a few seconds, few minutes, we notice that energy is completely different. So now we have living energy. So now, step 4 is open your eyes, if you did this with closed eyes, and then respond with this giving and loving energy to the demands of the present moment.
Yes. I especially liked that visual that you gave me. You told me it could be any color I wanted, and I chose kind of a light sky blue. And I could picture that healing, radiant, warm, loving energy coming out from my heart, going out through all of my extremities. And as I did that, I actually felt my physical body wanting to almost raise because it's got like more energy pulsing through everywhere. It made me feel more alert, more alive. It's like, like a slow-mo. Everything is expanding outwards. So if you're a very visual person, I think it can be very helpful to pick some kind of a tool like that works for you when you're practicing in meditation and things when you're focusing on your breath. And then when it comes to a stressful situation, go back to that visualization that really helps for you, because it can just be a simple way for your mind to lock into, oh yeah, that blue color that I like and it's radiating out. I just think sometimes it's helpful to have a little tool like that in your belt.
Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for this very practical walkthrough today. And I am curious to hear how people like the walkthrough of an actual guided meditation and a little taste of some of your areas of expertise. And this is a 4-step system that you've been writing about and kind of perfecting so that you can help us in a very practical manner be able to handle these catalysts in our life. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Let's go over some of the key takeaways from our conversation today. First, realize that there is no story you can tell yourself that is more important than the balanced homeostasis of your body. The stories we tell ourselves are either keeping us in a negative feedback loop of pain and confusion, or a positive feedback loop of awareness and healing. Choose wisely. Next, recognize that you are an energetic being and that you are the awareness of your physiological and mental state, not the body nor the mind. 3, begin to notice when you're in survival energy and when you're in living or life force energy. Next, when you do find yourself in survival energy, you've already done step 1. You've recognized that you're there. Stop and connect with your inner body. Recognize your energy and vibration. Step 2, when you've confirmed that you're not in immediate danger, proceed to step 3, loving acceptance. This is where we begin conscious breathing. As you focus on your breath, allow the story you are telling yourself to reveal physiological sensations. Notice the changes that are taking place. Let the thoughts present themselves and feel how your body is responding. Notice, where in my body am I feeling this? Describe it. Then, detach yourself from the story. Say thank you to the story, then let it go. Now there is no more story behind it. These sensations just are what they are. Once you have resumed homeostasis with your conscious breathing, then proceed to step 4, where you can address the immediate demands of the present moment, now with your conscious state in living energy. So there will be many times in your life. Life always offers us plenty of triggers to be able to practice these things. So remember to go to episode 18B, which is the meditation that Branislav and I did right before we had this discussion. So you will walk through the actual meditation that I did, which allows us a chance to practice in a meditative state, which is where we can actually teach our body new tricks, or we can teach our mind new tricks when we're in that meditative state, right? So we have shared that entire meditation with you in a separate episode, 18B. You can go through and practice that regularly. When we practice these things in meditation, then when the real life triggers come, you won't be thinking, let's see, step 1, what's step 2, what's step 3? It just comes automatically, okay? So that's why we practice these things, so that when life offers these challenges, you're already prepared. Your body and mind know what to do. Rather, I should say your awareness knows what to do, because now we've conditioned your body and mind what to do in a situation like this. So then when these triggers happen, it's just conditioning rising to meet circumstance. See how we did that? So we're changing the program. We're changing our conditioning. And that's how this works. I hope you enjoyed this, and see you next time. Thank you for tuning into Star Potential with Julie Jo Hughes. If this episode resonates with you, I invite you to take 2 seconds, scroll down, and click 5 stars on the rating. It's a fast and easy way to help the show gain exposure and momentum. If you're loving the show, I invite you to leave a quick review about what you love. Reviews are like gold to podcasters. And to show my gratitude, you'll be entered to win my monthly giveaway when you send me a screenshot of your review. I also made you a gift. It's a 9-minute, simple gratitude meditation with singing to help you practice mindfulness. Just visit me on Instagram at @TheJulieJo or find the link in the show notes. Thank you for your love and support. Until next time, keep shining your light. And that's a wrap.